as much as companies.
You still try it?
We do talk to governments from time to time. We haven't done so in Indonesia, but
why not?
If we think the law is inadequate, we complain.
He said, look, I have to go now. He said, I've got to get a plane. The teacher, he said, look, Adidas are running a designer boot competition at the moment. You get an outline of a boot on the internet, you download it, you do your design, you send it in for the competition. And we set the children as homework the task of designing an Adidas boot along the themes of the things we've discussed today.
If it's okay, can I just show you some of the designs that the students here have come up with? And then if you would like to take them away.
This one is from Nico, and they say name of the boot, and he's called it Adidas Injustice.
This is, I'm only a shoe, and yet I was made in a 14-hour shift. I'm only a shoe, and yet people suffer because of me. That was Nico's design.
Sorry, can you just hold it there? Cruddidas.
So this one.
What the child has done here is they've actually put the amount of money they use, like Adidas's profits, the factory profits, and how much the workers get paid in the stripes. This one was perhaps my favourite because of its simplicity. It's called the Exploitation Boot. And it's just got Adidas walking on others. And he said, look, I have to go now. He said, I've got to get a plane. And one of the kids goes, well, we really want to ask you questions, so will you come back? He said, yes. She said, will you really come back? He said, well, I've said yes, so I have to come back. So he's agreed to round 2. Now, Jazzy Books actually run charity adverts, and sometimes they do it for free. And I said to Winton Rossiter when we were in there, I said, would you mind if, you know, like the Clean Clothes campaign that campaigns for workers' rights in developing countries, would you mind if they advertise? He said, well, I don't have a problem with that. And so I said, excuse me, David Husby, you advertise in Jazzy Books. How do you feel if something like the Clean Clothes campaign or, you know, something about workers' rights in Indonesia and developing countries ran an advert alongside your Adidas advert?
Would Adidas be amenable to that idea?
In principle, I think it's a possible idea that we could look at. Yes. Yeah.
Richard Howard, the MEP, said, look, what you've done here is incredible. Your group of 13, 14, 15-year-olds, we couldn't get Adidas to come to the European Parliament, and you've had them here and held them to account. And I just thought, this is fantastic. I really hope it sets a precedent. You know, and there'll be guys, chief executives in multinationals like British Aerospace pacing up and down and go, sir, we've got a problem. Graham from Wolverhampton Secondary's on the phone. So it's just amazing. So the main reason that, you know, Jazzy Books, the main reason that they're used is because schools don't get enough money. That's the only reason they can be using these things. Yeah, and this is from the government. Do you remember Tony Blair said, education, 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 not a stammer, a quote. And you just thought, no, this is incredible, because, you know, if this is happening in Britain, what's happening in developing countries? What's the situation there? And then somebody sent us a picture of a school sign from Tanzania. Coca-Cola High! So we thought, well, this is a global thing, because, you know, Jazzy Books, the sponsors go there for profits. Adidas are in Indonesia for profits. It's about profits. It's globalisation. We need to talk to people about globalisation and the effects that this has and the relation of sponsorship. So we went to see one of the directors of the World Trade Organization. I said, what about, say, a country like Zimbabwe, where under future World Trade Organization legislation, they could be facing the prospect of getting their services and supplies to the lowest bidder by law, which means they would have to get someone like, if Jazzy Books or Cover Concepts in America, you know, could get in there, they would actually have to take their books going for free rather than use stuff that's actually made in their own country. How does that fit in if you're educating children and then they've got nowhere to go to afterwards? He said, well, I imagine a country like Zimbabwe would just be jolly grateful for anything they get. So we continue our conversation. I get some drawings out and said, look, these were done by children. You can see here it's got WTO kills, they've got planes and stuff like that. He said, well, no, children didn't think of that by themselves. No, somebody put that idea into their head. They heard World Trade Organization, someone told them it kills. They didn't think of that independently. That's just propaganda. And I said, you're really in favour of exporting capitalism across the world, of liberalising trade. I said, you're a proponent of the free market, aren't you? And he said, yes, yes. I said, you're almost like a capitalist Trotskyite. He said, well, I don't know what that means, but it sounds very good. So, I suppose really what it means is that countries like, say, Ghana or, Zimbabwe or Tanzania, suddenly, these books might be coming into their country, their industries might not be being used, the kids will go to school, they'll come out, there'll be nowhere for them to work except maybe a shoe factory. Cheers.
With hindsight, we accept that we should have been at the meeting in November, and we've written to the chairman to say that we would attend the next meeting, and that we would be very keen to meet you in Brussels and to discuss how we can participate in this debate about what the role of international companies is in developing countries.